Welcome to Builder Nation, everybody. Today we have an exciting episode featuring Slamcore, a trailblazer in spatial intelligence, specializing in visual SLAM, simultaneous localization and mapping technology. Slamcore's advanced solutions enable autonomous robots, drones, and other devices to navigate complex environments with precision and efficiency. Their innovative software integrates data from multiple sensors to provide accurate positioning, mapping, and perception, pushing the boundaries of what is possible in automation. Stay tuned as we dive into how Slamcore is revolutionizing the field of robotics and beyond. Today, we are joined by Owen Nicholson, CEO and Co-Founder at Slamcore. Welcome, Owen. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, great to be here.
Perfect. So to begin with this interview, I want to know what inspired you to transition from your role at the Dyson Robotics Lab in the Imperial College London to founding Slamcore, because I know that Slamcore span out from the same place, right?
Yes. So Imperial College in the UK. Actually, recently it was ranked second best in the world. So a real achievement for the university where I spent a lot of my time. So my background's always been in the project management of technology and helping essentially very clever people with great ideas turn that into something useful. I'm not a PhD, I'm not a deep technology expert myself. I know enough to keep up, but I've always prided myself in the ability to work with very technical people and help them do something useful with that. And I did that for 5 years for the government on lots of different technologies, from nuclear to graphene. And then I did that for 5 years at Dyson, working on material sciences, aeroacoustics, but also robotics, because Dyson have a big robotics arm, working on the vacuum cleaner. And it was actually through that where I got my first exposure to this technology of visual SLAM. And I was very fortunate enough to be able to work with one of the world leaders in this space, Professor Andrew Davison. I actually set up the robotics lab at Dyson that Andy was the director of at Imperial. So it was so exciting. I quit my job and I joined Andy because whilst I'd worked on lots of different technologies, this technology felt like it was something really special. This is the ability to give machines the ability to be able to see and understand their space. And this is one of the few kind of really revolutionary technologies out there. And if it's done well, and if it's able to reach scale, then we'll be able to do things that we'd never even thought of before. And I thought, you know what, this is a technology I want to be close to. I want to be part of a team that takes this out to the masses and builds products and that delivers impact in the world, which, like I said, we may not have even thought of yet today.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think your experience there influenced your work now at Slamcore? What skills you brought?
I think working on very deep technical projects but also figuring out how you commercialize them needs the ability to be able to go deep enough, but not so deep that you get lost in the weeds. So I have an ability to understand the technology at a level which makes sense for kind of the more commercial side of the business. I'm a project manager by training, so also being very organized and understanding how do you wrap structure around something which is naturally quite chaotic, research development, trying to figure out the answers to sometimes you don't even know what the questions are, but you do need discipline and you need structure to allow you to actually start moving towards a product at the end of the day. So that was my other kind of skill I brought to the team, and also once you have a technology and a product, you need money and you need investors to get it behind it. So being able to manage the investor side of things, raising funds, going out to the market, identifying who the best investors would be. And I've been very fortunate to raise nearly $30 million now for Slamcore. And I guess the final skill is, once you have that, is the ability to sell that product to maybe non-technical people, because they don't care if it's using visual SLAM quite often. We sell our product to forklift operators and people who run warehouses and operations, and they just want the thing to work. So being able to find that connection between the technology, the product, and the actual end problem that we're solving, I'd say that's something I've really honed in my last 20 years since I've been in this space.
Wow, that's really cool. And I want to stick with something that you talk about, the team. Because I watched an interview that you gave years ago, and you said the Slamcore has people working that come from 17 different countries. So I want to know, what is your vision about teamwork?
It's so I always think that the best companies have kind of the diversity that reflects the world. Otherwise, you haven't got the best people in the world. It's quite. If everyone looks like each other, then all they've really done is hire people within a 10-mile radius, and I mean that from every level of diversity, from kind of nationality, gender, from upbringing, from even political views. At the end of the day, if you want the best people in their field, we will go anywhere. We will employ anyone from anywhere. And I'm very proud of 17 nationalities with 35 staff. So nearly one in two is from a different nationality, and that's because we have a very high bar. We expect. We want to have the best people in the team, and that's kind of where we've ended up.
Wow, that's really cool, because I also checked the LinkedIn, and I saw that you have like a meeting with. They came to the UK, I think.
Yes, so that is definitely one of the challenges with working with a very kind of international team. We do support remote working, and we absolutely have people in different countries. A lot of the time they do choose to come to London, but we're very supportive of people who want to maybe come to London, return home, or stay in their country of origin, or even work from a different country. We've got people from one country living in another one, and absolutely embrace that. But keeping that culture and that team dynamic alive in a company is hard. And we have a lot of initiatives that we're very proud of in Slamcore to make that work. So we actually have someone who looks after workplace experience. So making sure that not just the people in the office, that traditionally it would be an office manager role, to like making people like feel like part of the team. But this is really thinking about how do we do this in a hybrid way, running events remotely, having things which includes everyone from like people with parents, people who might not be able to do certain things at certain times, whereas others might be more up for going for a drink in the evening. For example. So we do that, and we are very passionate about getting everyone together at least twice a year, and we try and go for every quarter, where we get everyone together, we do something nice together. We work hard. It's not a week of just relaxing, but we find that really helps us all come together, and means that our productivity and our employee engagement goes right up, and it's something we track very carefully, because it's hard being in a startup. It's not for everyone. It's not something you can just sit back and phone it in. We don't want people to burn themselves out, and we don't want people to work like crazy hours at all. I'm very strict about that as well. But there is definitely a level of we are all working together to make sure this ship doesn't just sink, but it takes off. Mixing my analogies quite badly there.
Yeah, but because I think it's important not also to have, of course, you have the best people, but also have the same vision, the same same goal, same everything. Because if not, I think it's impossible. You have to be surrounded by good people that think the same as you, as the company and everything. I think it's really important.
There's no we're very keen to make sure we have the same kind of core values as part of the company, and making like one of the best comments we have is when people start, they always just say how nice everyone is and how much they enjoy working with each other. And that's because we really do have a policy that like there is no tolerance of not being nice. Even if you're the best coder or the best salesperson or out there, I would absolutely not want them in part of the team if they are, because trust for me is my biggest core value, and making sure I trust and believe, and that's someone I'll have their back and they'll have mine when it comes to it.
Yeah, of course. I think it's really, really important. I'm 100% sure that Slamcore do that, because I watch it and I check on the website, I check on the LinkedIn. So I think that is really, really cool. Well, now talking about what Slamcore does, what are the key benefits of using Slamcore spatial intelligence solutions?
So we have two core product lines. One is for they're both applied in the industrial logistics space. So this is for factories and warehouses, moving goods around, and we provide a product for the manual vehicles, so the forklifts being driven by people, and we also provide a product for the robots. And it's important that we consider both, because ultimately these vehicles are all operating in the same space. So if they don't play well together, then they're going to actually restrict the thing that really matters, which is the operational efficiency and safety of that site. So sometimes roboticists can get obsessed about the performance of the robot, but actually what really matters is what's that robot doing, and what is the point of it existing in the space it's deployed. And so in factories and warehouses, if you're not increasing throughput, reducing or increasing safety, I should say, then actually all you have is a toy. So the two product lines both use the same visual SLAM. It's a very much a core software. The core of our product, Slamcore, the clues in the name, is SLAM spatial AI that we've been developing over the years since we spun out from the university. The product packaging is slightly different. So for the forklifts, it is literally a box. It sounds pretty boring. It's a black box that you stick on a manual forklift, but when you turn it on, it suddenly adds the spatial intelligence to what was kind of a less capable vehicle. So it means as it's driving around, the facility owner can know exactly where it is at any point in time. It can also know what it's observing. So if it sees people, stock, other vehicles, it can start to take that into account when it orchestrates the way in which it flows goods through the facility.
Yeah.
On the robotics side, it's more of a software offering because robotics companies look after their own hardware. It's harder to bolt an extra bit of hardware on the side of a robot. And that same visual SLAM is then used as an input to their existing software stack. So there is a lot of elements that need to come together to make a robot. Not just SLAM, you need path planning, you need kind of intelligence about what you do when you find an obstacle, what do you actually do about it. So we provide the answer to where the robot is, what's it observing, and how far away are these objects.
Yeah, there are the three levels, I think, right?
Absolutely, the three levels of spatial AI is a phrase that we've used, and with those are the core three questions that any moving machine or animal needs to be able to answer in order to operate. And our visual AI, it runs on the edge on the actual robot itself, answering those questions, and then that data is passed, or the answers are passed through to the wider control stack and the wider autonomy stack that our customers are building. And between the two of them, we have a solution which then runs on every single vehicle that's deployed in the entire facility. And when you bring that data together, you can start to unlock even more exciting insights and analytics into the flow of goods, and figure out how do you actually increase that flow of goods whilst maintaining safety.
Mm-hmm. And talking about that, I read about something Slam Aware on the website. Yeah, so can you explain us more about it, and what was some of the biggest challenge in developing this Slam technology?
Sure. So Slamcore Aware is I should have said that's the name of our forklift solution for tracking manual forklifts. We launched it at a very big conference this year called Modex in March, but we've been developing it along with some partners over the last couple of years to really bake it and get it working well. We did over 50,000 kilometers of testing in sites across Germany and the US. And these are operational facilities with actually moving goods. So these weren't test environments. And there were lots of challenges we had to overcome. In many ways, the scale of these factories is just so much bigger than a lot of what robots are used to in the consumer space, or even in a shop or a mall or something like this. There's 9 million square feet factories out there, which are absolutely vast. And from a technical point of view, you need to be very careful about the way you design the AI so that you haven't got a ridiculous requirement on compute and memory. Because robotics and this spatial intelligence is a problem that needs to be solved there and then. You can't chuck it into the cloud, wait 5 seconds to get the answer. You need real-time embedded edge AI for this to work. So running at that scale is just another level of challenges. And we designed our architecture of our AI to be very scalable when it comes to the space in which it's operating. It also needs to be extremely, extremely reliable. You can't have something which only works 90% of the time. That really is just a toy. So we spent a lot of time identifying the edge cases. It's a bit like whack-a-mole. You find an edge case, you solve it, but another one pops up. And there's no shortcut here. You can't just use simulation. You can't use kind of best efforts to try and second guess what might happen. the only way you're going to find these edge cases is by being deployed, doing 50,000 kilometers. We're hoping this year we'll do well over that, on the way to 1 million kilometers. And that will be the amount of edge cases we'll identify just from being deployed in the field. And when we solve them, that's a solve for all of our customers, for the entire industry. And eventually you get something which is stable, something which works, and something which actually can add value straight away. And that's what we achieved after the 2 years of development. That's what we launched at the start of this year. And honestly, since we did that, the response has been incredible. We've been inundated, I think 500% increase in the pipeline just since we launched that product. And we are lining up trials every week at the moment with commercial orders coming in, even though we haven't got the absolute final hardware ready until later this year. So we've definitely hit a nerve.
Wow, that's really cool, and it's really amazing that, of course, you can imagine now, okay, we can have this problem, but you never know until you prove it in the place that it has to be. So I
Absolutely.
think it's really difficult, but I think that it's really cool to have all this experience, all these tests for that. And I was reading the website, and I found some project that I really catch my attention. That was Bombix. Correct me if I am saying wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, this robot that you implement with the Slam software that makes the fiber deployment more economical in remote areas that don't have internet. So can you tell us more about it and how it works?
Yeah, it's a really interesting robot, and it's a robot that was developed by Facebook, so now Meta. I think they were Facebook when we were working with them, and they approached us because they had this robot they were developing that was running into problems when it came to its spatial understanding. And they heard we were the best at vision-based spatial understanding, so they decided to reach out to us, which is always nice when you have a company of that magnitude, literally filling in the contact form on the website. So, but maybe slight step back. We have spent the years in developing our software. The reason we had is so, Russ, we've done it in working with actual end customers. Whilst we're not selling, and I'll tell you about the robot in a second, but whilst we're not selling a dedicated solution for that type of robot, we've always been very strict about we will only work with customers and robots where we believe that 90% of the work can be reused in our wider offering. So we don't take payment for consultancy. We don't take payment for going in and building a customized solution on a system which is only ever going to work in that one environment. So, for example, as much as I'd love to, and ultimately I did astrophysics for my degree, if working on like the Mars rover or an asteroid mining robot, those are like the budgets are so insane, and the performance environment is so unique that actually that isn't very you can't translate that to other projects. So we probably would walk away from a project like that. But the nice thing about the Facebook robot was it had lots of things that we could use as part of our wider offering. So it was a robot that was designed to connect up villages to the internet, because a big part of Facebook's strategy was how do we grow our use base? Well, actually, let's connect more people to the internet. Mm-hmm. So that's their agenda, and actually, but there is a real benefit for the world. And they were never going to say you can only use Facebook. This is completely open internet, and they see that as a benefit, which is really great. But the problem is connecting broadband to a lot of the more remote areas in Africa and India and actually even in the UK. Like, funny enough, they found a lot of the interest was from European and American villages which had bad infrastructure. And digging the broadband fiber cables into the ground is very expensive. But quite often these spaces are very good electric infrastructure. That's the first thing that gets installed. So pylons with high voltage cables going from one village to the next. So this robot was designed to literally hang off the pylons and crawl along the electric cables, winding a broadband fiber behind it. And Bombix is I think it's the name of a silkworm. So that was the kind of genesis of that word. And the problem is the pylons, there's lots of them. So when it gets to the end of the cable, it has to somehow detach from the cable, get to the next and cross the pylon. And that's really complicated just mechatronically. But from a spatial intelligence, you're up maybe 50 feet in the air, getting blown, like in Africa, the sun beating down. So we built for them a vision system which was able to detect when they got to the end of each pylon, locate where all the objects were around it, and allow it to detach, clasp onto the other side, and carry on its journey. And we were constantly calculating the position of all the parts of the robot to make sure it didn't actually crash into the pylon, because if it did, it could bring down the network. And that was actually a great combination of localization. So where is the robot? What are the objects? Because there are different things that they encountered along the way, and where are those objects relative to the robot? So those are the 3 levels of spatial AI that we implemented for Facebook. Unfortunately, I think 2 years ago when they had some troubles, that was one of the projects that got canned. So we just wrapped up that technology. We actually use a lot of the breakthroughs we made for outdoor navigation within our Slamcore Aware product, and also the object recognition and distance measurement techniques that we developed for Facebook. We were able to roll into that same product. But if anyone is out there who wants a visual slam stack for a robot that crawls across electrical pylons, then reach out to me, because I've got one I can dust off.
Yeah, that's true. I was watching all the recent projects, and that one really catch my attention, but I also read about the other ones, and was really, really cool, because from probably somebody that doesn't know much about this, is like, oh wow, like a robot can do that and a software can do that. It's crazy just to think about it. And I think it's evolving year after year, is more and more and more, and so that's really exciting.
It is, and with the breakthroughs happening now in AI, we're really starting to see what is possible with these robots, and we're very passionate about finding where we can really apply this technology in a way which can add value and have a positive impact on the planet. And whilst logistics and forklifts might not sound like that exciting, but actually the amount of goods and the amount of energy that's spent just moving goods from A to B. These are $trillion industries, and with huge amounts of energy being used. If we can help them be efficient, if we can reduce the amount of wasted travel by a fleet of forklifts by 20%, that's 20% less energy wasted, and that is an absolutely vast number. So I think we're really starting to see how this technology can have this positive impact. And in the future, we have plans to move into agriculture and to things like mining, construction, all these other areas. And like I said right at the start, I'm guaranteed there's going to be areas and robots and machines that we haven't even thought of yet that will add incredible value in 10 years' time, underpinned by vision-based spatial AI. And that's something I'm super excited about, because I'm very much an optimist and positive about the future when it comes to this technology, because we're very selective about who we work with, and we believe actually this is a technology which is going to be good and have a positive impact on the planet.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that is coming. I mean, it's something that is going to come in soon or in some years, but for sure it's going to happen. I am really sure about that too. And talking about, again, about the challenge that you face, I want to talk about the challenge in today's business, because I know that there are many, but I want to know about the most significant challenge that you have, that you face in the procurement process.
So in the procurement, interesting. For procurement processes, particularly in our industry that we're going after, the intralogistics space, procurement is a slow thing. It has to be. They want things to be safe and they want things to be reliable. So it doesn't always line up well with the pace of new startups and new technology. So it can take 6 months to be registered on a SAP system to be able to even raise a purchase order. And there's also levels of compliance which are absolutely important, but it's going to be harder for a startup to be as compliant as maybe a company that's been around for 50 years. So we need to find that right balance of making sure that we have what the procurement teams, that we can move quickly, that we can help them accelerate through the process. We also need to kind of educate them around what makes sense from a contractual point of view, because especially when there is any work or additional integration required, we have to be extremely strict about who owns the IP, who owns what comes out of that. And I've never given away an ounce of IP or provided any exclusivity for the product, because we're a startup which has a product which is going to scale to every machine that moves on the planet. So the moment I start chopping it all up means that I can't achieve that goal. So that's something we need to be aware of, respectful of, because I've been on the other side of the contract negotiations, and I've pushed hard for the things that I push against now, and that's actually sometimes helped, because I understand where they're coming from and I have genuine empathy about what they're trying to achieve. But in the bigger picture, there is a different way to work with companies like Slamcore than companies like SAP, for example.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And we talk about past projects and probably something that is coming too. But what future developments or features can we expect from Slamcore in the near future? You told me that at the end of this year we will have like the Slamcore where like develop more. So just tell us how we can expect from Slamcore.
Yeah, I think so. As I said, we provide a product for Slamcore Aware for forklifts. We provide a product for robots. The robots product is quite involved. It takes a few months to integrate and get running. Next year, we'll be providing a robotic solution, which is much more plug and play and something which you can actually get up and running in a day or an hour, and instead of having to spend time doing the deep integration. So I'm super excited about that because it really lowers the barrier of entry for companies. It's something which is more arm's length from my side, so I don't have to put teams around deployments, and I can start to give to startups, hackers, smaller companies, so we can really start to get that out there. So I'm very excited about making this technology easier to access and quicker to implement, because that's going to just help us scale the company in a way which is ultimately going to allow us to get more data, improve the solution, and feed that back to the product, and put us well on that journey towards every machine that moves.
That's cool. That's really cool, and I can't wait to see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it because I was really impressed when I checked the website and all the LinkedIn, social media, and everything. So I can't wait to see that. And to finish with this interview, I saw that you've been involved, and we also talk about that, in numerous technology transfer projects from university research to the commercial applications. So what advice would you give to the other young tech entrepreneurs that is starting now, looking to bridge that gap between academic research and the market-ready products?
Yeah, so do not underestimate the amount of work it takes. There is sometimes maybe a more old-fashioned view, and it is changing definitely, but the university generated in the IP generated in universities is kind of the gold nugget which a company builds itself around them. And whilst that might be true for a drug or a medical procedure where the patent is like all that matters, for this type of technology and for many technologies out there, it's the people that do the work, that work the hours, that literally the blood, sweat and tears that they put into the company, and the IP normally within a year or two disappears, and it's not you've probably pivoted by the time you actually get to commercial anyway. So don't overly obsess on the IP that's actually coming from the university. Don't give away too much equity. Be strict about the amount of equity, and feel free, reach out to me on LinkedIn if anyone wants any more questions on that. But it's really important that you do not give that, because you could end up destroying your chances later down the line. And don't give away royalties. Make sure that you kind of are prepared for a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take 3 or 4 years before you can actually feel like things are coming together. And it's a hard slog, but it's really worthwhile. And nothing is more exciting than seeing something out there in the field and knowing that you have contributed to that, and if you didn't, that thing wouldn't exist. So the rewards are out there, but be careful. Yeah, careful with the IP and be prepared for a slog.
Well, that's true, and I thank you so much, Owen, for being here and share all your experience with us. Where can we find you, or an Slamcore social media website?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Look me up on LinkedIn, Owen Nicholson. Just probably Owen Nicholson Slamcore, you'll find me if you type that in. You can also go to our website directly, is the best place to start. So www.slamcore.com. I can't believe I put www at the start of that. That's very old fashioned, but go to slamcore.com.
Yeah, perfect. Go watch it, because I was taking a look at the website. It's really interesting. All the blogs, all the news that you have, all the products that are explained there. So it's really, really cool. And well, for everybody that is watching, remember that you can find more information, interesting articles and interviews directly on our website, buildernation.io, and as Builder Nation on LinkedIn. Thanks again for being part of this community. We will see you in the next episode. Thanks again, Owen, for joining us today.
Thank you.